Well, hey everyone, welcome back to our Carry Hope podcast. With me this week, a little bit of a different crew. Ben, we introduced last time, runs our Zoe's World, and then Matt. Matt, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are?
Yep, so I'm Matt Larkin. I am the pastor of local outreach here. Have been a part of Christ Community since maybe 2004, 2005. Love the church. Have served with the worship team. Have been an elder here. Sorry, I'm not supposed to hit the table.
Come on, Matt.
Makes loud booms. Let's see. My wife Jess and I, we've been married for 21 years. We've got 4 beautiful girls, 10, 12, 14, 16, and we got a foreign exchange student this year too, who's 16. So
still have all the color in your hair too.
I got the color in my hair. Yeah.
Do you dye it?
No, I don't dye it.
I dye it the other way.
You know, I think when you're blonde, it hides the gray and the white a little bit better.
I think so.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
Tell yourself whatever you need.
Dude, my beard is going white. I'm skipping
it's called
gray.
Just for men distinguishing.
I like it.
I will add it in and make yourself
I will
grizzled,
never dye my hair.
the grizzled veteran.
Yeah. Well, hey, so just to kind of set a little bit of the tone of where this podcast is going to go, the last time that we were together, which is about a month ago, we really spent. We had Dudley with us too. He's off in another country right now doing an ITI, but we really kind of set the table talking about hope. Right. A lot of times in church world, hope is kind of this pretty small thing that we talk about. Like hope is just salvation. It's just this thing that we experience once we die. And like that's totally true. That's absolutely true. But the conviction we have as we read the gospel and the Bible is that the hope Jesus offers us is so much bigger than what happens after we die. Like there is this life that we get invited into experiencing and participating in the here and now, and to be a part of bringing that here in our community, our city, the spheres of influence that we have. And so I figured, since we really did that conversation last time, and we'll probably circle back to it at some point, but I would love to talk about what that really looks like in the worlds that we operate in, right? Because we've got all these things happening in a local world that are these kind of tangible things people can step into. And then we've got Zoe's, which is a beast in and of itself, but it is this beautiful picture, I think, of the gospel and of what the gospel could be. And so, just really want to kind of open it up to you guys to talk about some of the things you're doing, why we're doing them, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. In the Zoe's world, we're trying to practice a lot more of practical, like Jesus-esque type of activities. We're trying to partner with, run alongside things that are kind of common in our world, and to kind of riff off of what you say, there is a hope that's now, and I think that is we really feel like that's the offering of Jesus to us now, right? So there's a lot that has to do with eternity starts now in following Jesus, and what would it look like on the day-to-day basis for us to be, actively participating in God's kingdom. And so in Zoe's world, we talk about flourishing in life. We talk that, we kind of use language internally that all people want that and all people are partaking in that. And so we want to help cultivate that in their own lives so that they can feel the invitation to be drawn into that story, to be drawn into God's kingdom in that sense. So, over the last couple of years, we've been connecting more and more to real issues that we feel are part of our city. So if you don't know, the city of Greeley is pretty active in their leadership of trying to address a lot of the spectrum of what the city of Greeley needs, the growth that we're facing, economic development, and then issues that kind of run hand in hand with normal cities. So poverty and homelessness, how to deal with our international neighbors, how to connect with them. And so Zoe's has kind of found this natural sort of pathway to partner in some things, but also to just run alongside of issues that are happening in the city. So as they are starting to look at the issue of homelessness, that's been something that's kind of risen to the surface of what we want to align ourselves with. So we're trying to direct some of our resourcing and some of our staffing to connect to those worlds and see what becomes of that. And so what we have found is that there's been a lot of momentum and support and favor in their kind of working with us. So we've become kind of a hub for that. And so Zoe's has hosted when we hosted a documentary screening last week in conjunction with United Way and the city of Greeley and so several other organizations that are all kind of running around this issue to try to educate the community and understand what a solution might look like.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to be a hub for that so that we can have the right conversations, because we are finding that we're polarized. Like, people are just walking in with decisions, walking in with opinions already ready, right? Their guns are loaded. And what we want to do really is create spaces where that conversation can happen to see how we all want to participate.
Yeah.
From our perspective, it's so that on the bottom rung, like, Zoe's stands for the flourishing of all humanity.
Yeah.
We feel that that's God's heart. That's how he's wired us and designed us. And so we want to do anything that runs with that. You'll also find that in some of our growing relationship with the Immigrant and Refugee Center in Evans. One of our elders is closely connected to that, but also there's just this heart for trying to crystallize around the idea that Jesus is for the marginalized.
Yeah.
And so it would be natural for us in our everyday life to be for the marginalized and what that looks like. And so first Thursday of every month, we host a free dinner. It used to be a college dinner only, but now we're saying it's actually for anybody who wants to come. And what we've done over the last year is we go to the IRC, we ask if there is a participant in the IRC who wants to come and cook their homemade food from their country. So we resource all of the food. We let them use the kitchen at Zoe's, and then we give that meal out for free for the students. We try to tell a story, and we're trying to grow a little bit in how we communicate that story. But it's an open door on that first Thursday. So that next week, the 2nd of October, will be the next one. Doors open at 6 o'clock. People can just come in, and we go until we run out. And so it's awesome with the intent to try to connect the college students to this world, to try to show them that this is the city you live in. This is the city you're partaking in life in. Yeah. And these are our neighbors. And what would it look like if we just lived lives that were around those neighbors? And so you can see those disparities.
One of the things that I've always loved, and I think you and I actually talked about this when we did a Zoe's specific podcast back over the summer, but like Zoe's in so many ways has operated or continues to operate or is now operating more like as this spoke, right? So when you think about business, nonprofit, government, Zoe's is really has become the place where all of these different entities come together to meet and say, okay, there's an issue and we want to work together. I'll still never forget this when we were in a meeting with some city folks, and one of them said, man, like, we have never experienced this from a church, like a church actually wanting to help and to partner with us.
I get that regularly.
Yeah, and like, that's our heart, right? Because the reality is there are so many beautiful things happening here in our city. The gospel is breaking in everywhere we look. A lot of times we just don't notice it because our view of what hope is and the gospel is so myopic. Yeah. But when we broaden it, we say, oh man, like, God, you are doing something in the refugee population. We want to go join you there. God, you are doing something here in this homeless world. We want to step into that because there is something unique, I think, that a church can bring to the conversation. Yeah. Right. But there's something powerful and synergistic that happens when all of these different things start to come together. Sure. And then I think about the people we hire back in the kitchen, the folks that we have who come in and help us do events. Like, that is good news. Yeah. Like, that is gospel. Yeah. I would love for you to riff on that for a moment, man. And we will get to you, Matt. Like, we will get to you. But like, just your heart, because like,
smile and look pretty. We'll be the old guys.
Like, you are one of the strongest advocates for that idea, in my opinion. Yeah. You're like, you are the one who beats the drum. You're like, man, the gospel is so much bigger than what we have made it.
I like that. I appreciate the opportunity, but I would personally challenge everybody. So I coach football, and so I always like to pregame speech everybody. Yeah. I want to show up for my own life because my life is the main event for me. God has put me in a place in the world, in a city, in this country, for whatever reason. And unless I actively participate in my life, the things that I see are the realities of the kingdom of God manifesting aren't things that I want to put into a compartment of my contribution. I don't want to say, well, I show up here to a homeless shelter on this day, or I just give to this thing. I am actively part of creating the world that God wants to see. And so it should be a no-brainer for people that say they follow Jesus. And I'm saying this to myself all the time, but it should be a no-brainer that if I want to follow Jesus, then it would practically mean that I would show up in my world and partner in the things that I know are on God's heart. And if Jesus is fundamentally for the marginalized so that they have a voice, and it's the voice that God gave them because their identity is his image, then I actively want to participate in those things. So the question isn't, what do I do specifically? It's just show up. And if I show up, then it means that we naturally align with the things that are on God's heart. And so the freedom and blessing to be able to be the director of Zoe's and being in this, I think, amazing community of Christ Community Church means that we have some freedom to be an incubator for creative ideas and to try new things and to move towards things. And I don't want to create things where people just participate in general. I want them to become central to its activity. And I can imagine in Kids Hope as well, as I've seen that develop, and as you start to align yourself a little bit in this, Matt, too, is like there's this part where how many schools are in town and how many opportunities are there for this specific? But many times Christian churches, they do a great work there. And then we ask ourselves, well, how do we make this normal for all of the congregation? And if they're empowered to be participants in that thing, how would that change that? And so, I mean, if you want to riff on and go after, what you're doing with Kids Hope and how that matters, maybe that connects a little bit to that.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm still stuck at bringing people into the Zoe's kitchen and making the meal. Is there like a vetting process for these people to be able to come in and use a commercial kitchen, and I'm sure you're there and you're helping them?
Yeah. So there's all licensing, we're a fully licensed kitchen. We're giving the food away for free. We're not selling it. So in that sense too, it allows us to highlight someone's cooking process. And then I get all the food, right? So I do the shopping list for them, and then we do everything in our commercial kitchen. So yeah, we actually, in vetting, it's more like an invitation. And so we're actually having Somalian food this next week. We already have a menu listed out for that. And so it's been an amazing experience. We've already done Somalian once, Eritrean, Jamaican, maybe two others, something like that. Okay. That was last year, and they were great successes. So it's fun.
That's amazing. That's going to be so fun for you.
Oh my gosh, as a geeky food guy.
Yeah, every time I walk in there, Ben's like, I learned something new.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If it's not just the pronunciation part, it's there's some cultural things that I love about that too. And I just think it's amazing to rub elbows with people that are our neighbors.
Well, and like, again, I told the same story last time, right? But the ways that opens up the door for conversations with people, like, our friend who works at the RC, they had brought someone over. She had been praying for this person, trying to share the gospel. It was a Muslim woman. Not very open at all. But then after being here, experiencing that welcome of Zoe's, being in this community, being accepted, being platformed, like after went to this individual and said, hey, so Zoe's, like, what does that mean? And then she got to tell the whole story of Zoe's and why it's here, the connection to the church. Like, that conversation doesn't happen without hospitality. I mean, hospitality and welcoming is such a huge part of this idea of carrying hope. Because hospitality, like when you think about it, at the end of the day, it is literally opening up your heart, your life, and your resources to another person to be able to share.
A little bit without a hook too. So this person should come on and be on the Next Hope podcast, right? Because she has an amazing story, and the way that she has been able to sit with these people. And I even say these people, and that's probably too tongue in cheek, right? With just real communities and real life people. She has no agenda, and they're just loved and appreciated, and that's it. She allows the gospel, as we call it, to do its work without her having to say anything, right? It's just, that's not even, the beauty of that is that her life is just to be around these people. And I think that she wants to share her story and their story to a broader world so that we see ourselves as neighbors and can appreciate the value of their cultures. And so I think she'd be a great future, podcast.
We'll do it. We'll get her on.
To get her on, because the way that she has a perspective is something I'm still trying to grasp, and it's something that I incredibly admire. And they're doing the work for a long time. So I think that's just a great story. But anyway,
back to Kids Hope.
Well, first, I would add that I think the really cool thing there with involving food is that I find it so interesting, the way that God made us, and one of our basic needs is food, and just in our humanity, in order to get that sustenance into it, it takes time, right?
Yeah.
So when you sit down with somebody and you're eating food, it's a process,
Right.
and I really think that when God made us that way, He did so intentionally to know that, like, okay, we're gonna have a space where people have to stop for a bit, and they're gonna have conversation, and they're gonna check in on each other, and you can invite other people in, like inviting somebody to have a meal with you is like one of the easiest things ever, because they could say no, and that's fine because you're still gonna eat,
Right.
or they could say yes, and you could start building a relationship there. But yeah, I love the time that I have with people over a meal. I love the tradition we have in church with doing communion, and that itself is a process, And I think Jesus was very intentional about establishing the Lord's Supper as the body of Christ, as the community of Christ.
Yeah, well, even when you think about that, like that was an actual meal, right?
Right.
Jesus wasn't getting out the little cracker and the little thing of juice. Like,
Make sure you say juice, because that's what it was in the first century church. It was only juice.
it's alcoholic
He
juice.
turned water into grape juice.
Oh, what denomination did you grow up in, Ben? By the way, you are totally speaking Ben's like heart language right there,
Totally.
like food, gospel, creation. But yeah, so like, Zoe's has this very free way of being able to go after stuff, which, a lot of times when I sit back and think of it, I'm like, no, this is actually kind of the way Jesus did stuff, right? Because Jesus did stuff that was so incredibly unconventional, that was offensive to the religious establishment at that time. They're like, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Duly
You
noted.
can't do that.
Okay. Putting it down on my list.
Yeah.
Offend
Nate said
the
be more
religious
offensive.
people.
No,
Got it.
we're not going
Done.
to do that. But like even like when you heal people, right? Like it's like, hey, I'm going to spit in this dirt and I'm going to rub it in your eyes. Like, but it worked. There was something so unique about that, so beautiful. And he tried new things. He did new things.
Sure.
And yeah, you know what I mean. But it was this experiential thing that people got to step into there in that moment.
Yeah.
And so we've got that world, but then we've got the more traditional stuff that we do that I don't want to call it, maybe not traditional, because some of the stuff we do like in the 15th Street world is not necessarily traditional. But why don't you talk to us a little bit about what we're doing in that space with some of the things that you're running with right now?
Yep. So yeah, Kids Hope, easy model there. It's one school partnering with one church to pair one mentor with one student for 1 hour for 1 week for 1 school year. That's it.
A lot of ones.
Yeah. What I like about the Kids Hope model, and as far as carrying hope goes, so when I think of hope, I have to think of like hopeless, and I think hopelessness comes from an inability maybe to trust in something. And a lot of these kids that are getting mentored over at Maplewood, they don't have a lot of trust. They don't have a lot of trust for adults, and they have broken homes. They're in these at-risk situations, and so to have a mentor show up every week and hang out with them, and just them, right? It's just the student and the mentor. It's not one mentor and a few students. It's like their student for the year, and they're caring for that kid. That they just come alive in that, and they start to establish trust with that adult, and they start to then have hope. When I was over there earlier today, this one little guy, he came in and he's like, is Mr. Dave here? I was like, that was yesterday, dude. But he's just so excited. He sees us showing up, and we got our lanyards on, and he's like, oh, I have this hope that maybe today, because they just they're seen and they're heard and they're valued, and it's not a tutoring situation. We're not like we're not going through reading, writing, arithmetic. We're playing games. We're hanging out. We're talking to them about life, what's good, what's bad, helping them work through some of that stuff. We always try to have a character trait that we're working on for them. So right now we're working through kindness. So we have some books that are available.
Can you send that to my kids too?
Yeah,
please.
You get the PDF. You'll get the PDF.
I'll get the PDF.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that every parent's
Yeah.
goal? I've told my girls, just to simplify all of this, my goal is to raise you all so that you don't end up being a bunch of jerks when you're older. And if I do that, I feel like I'm successful
I won.
as a parent.
There it is.
Right?
Yeah.
So in that kindness conversation with their mentor, is just talking about what does that look like, and how do you demonstrate kindness towards your teachers or your peers, or what's the situation that happens where it's really difficult to be kind.
Yeah.
The Kids Hope program is awesome, and then through that we're also able to offer some some stuff outside of the classroom time that we have there. So we have 9 mentoring times over at Maplewood every week. But then we also are intentional about scheduling out. We'll have a day here next month. We'll be over at the Funplex and just come in, and we have pizza and play putt and swim and just open that up to them. And
and that's for the families as a whole
family,
too, right?
yeah, where they probably would never do that otherwise.
Yeah.
And then we'll do in December. We'll have a night here at the Bel Air. Do like a movie night and popcorn and games and a ton of fun. So
and it I think about what's happening there, and it's super practical for families. Like hope is embodied in a relationship with a mentor. And we've told some of those stories before about how those relationships have significantly impacted the kids and the families, not only for that one school year, but for many years to come. So I'm sitting here thinking about all the things that you guys just shared about, and I can't help but connect everything you guys just said with a story, and with, more importantly, with a person, right? So I think about Kids Hope. Beth was leading that before you. You go back even further. This is something that was really birthed out of the vision of Roseanne Holman, right? She showed up, stepped into this thing, and it's amazing and beautiful, and it is this legacy that is continued. I think about Zoe's. You go back to the genesis of Zoe's, it's really Phil Grizzle, right? Phil had this heart for this thing downtown, and then when you came on, it has morphed and become this whole new thing. Anytime we talk about bringing hope, right? Anytime we talk about these initiatives or these things we might point out of oh yeah, that's something I can do to bring hope, or that's a program I can be a part of, or that's a thing. It always goes back to a person. Right? Because somebody looked around at the world and said, okay, I'm not content with the way things are. Somebody looked and said, God, you're doing something in this place. Your hope, your gospel is breaking into this space, and I want to join you and I want to be a part of it. Because that's the story of Kids Hope. That's the story of Zoe's. That's the story of all the stuff that's happening here with the city and all these other nonprofits. And I'm thinking about the people watching this right now, if they've made it this far. I want there to be something actionable for them. Right, because it's one thing to sit there and to listen to a bunch of people who are working in these spaces talk about it. But my hope is that this is really a catalyst for all of you watching to go, hey, where can I carry hope? Where is the gospel in breaking into my life right now? What is a place or a space that I can step into and come alongside the things that God is already doing and see maybe something new happen, see something flourish? Because I'm thinking about what you said, Ben. You're the main event of your life. Right, you want to show up and to be a part of the things that are happening right in front of you. Yeah. Based off of that, just kind of way that you operate and live, and I've heard you say that hundreds of times before. What advice would you give to anyone who's watching, who's saying "Hey, I want to do this, but I don't know where to begin. I want to, I want to carry hope. What would you tell them to do?"
There's an application process. I'm just joking.
Here's a CCB form.
Yeah. My life has changed, and I think that's the fundamental gift that we have is that change is part of our journey. I think I don't know if I'd even call it success. Do you believe that your life matters? Do you believe that you're made in God's image? Do you believe that where you're at right now is the place where hope can start? And so I would actually start with a personal thing of where you're at right now. It's not about I was having a conversation with my son last week, and he was trying to say, well, what do I do? What's the thing that I do? And I actually think that reality is like on the other side of where I'm at. And
Yeah.
so the thing that I want to do will actually happen when I move towards it. And so it's not something that I need to wait for. It's something that it won't move unless I move. And if I can see that where I'm at right now is the center of that story, then I can actually foster hope today wherever I'm at. And being in a place of hope helps because it's not something I'm going to create. Hope is existing right now. And all I have to do is show up, and then it becomes kind of plain to see where I could be plugged in. Practically, there's all sorts of things that you could be part of. There's
Yeah.
all sorts of things that exist that are out there, and I think it's less about those specifics
Yeah.
because if you want to find those, you'll find those.
Yeah.
But instead, I would say that it's about your own heart because here's a great example: Kids Hope needs people, right? That's a great thing. You can volunteer at Zoe's and be a barista. That's not my
Yeah.
point. My point is that it starts with somebody saying that as soon as I move, it's created as you move.
Yeah.
Hope is created as you step into hope.
Well, yeah, and I think that's my hope too, even in asking this question, is not how do we recruit more people to do the things that we're already doing?
Absolutely.
Because that's an easy thing to do, right? You put the need out there, people respond to it.
Yeah.
But I'm more intrigued by the things that we've never thought about. I'm more intrigued by the spaces we'll never step into. I'm more intrigued by the needs that we're not even aware of.
Sure.
What would you say, Matt?
For me, probably about 5 years ago, I just had a shift in my mentality. Had a vocational change, and I just decided that my posture would be, yeah, I'll do that. You know, if I felt like God was, you know, if the kingdom's kind of going this way, I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. And so, you know, I'd worked for over 16 years doing oil and gas, and I just figured that's kind of what I was going to always do. And then had an opportunity here at Christ Community to help out in an interim basis as the worship interim. And during that season, I very much felt like God was just like, hey, Matt, you know, I gave you these skills. I built you to do these things. Like, why do you keep trying to go in these other directions of things that you think are important, that you value? Will you value the things that I value? And will you trust me to provide for you? I always have, and I always will. And so very much just entered into just an open hand, like, okay, God, my answer is just going to be yes. So if you're going somewhere, if you're doing something, I tend to be more the introvert where people are like, hey, we're doing a hangout tonight and we're going to play board games. We're going to play Ticket to Ride for 3 hours. Yeah. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I always will find an excuse like, I'm not going to do that.
Good to know.
And yeah.
Good to know. Matt's always finding an excuse. If he says no to you,
He says no.
Yeah.
he's lying.
Some people have FOMO. I have JOMO, joy of missing out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's great. I'm robbing that.
Yeah. So, I think just for me personally, and what I would, I guess what I would challenge anybody on is, if God's up to something and you see it and you can participate in it, just say, yeah, you know, and you don't have to do it forever.
Yeah.
You know, like this Saturday with the Project Blitz through Serve 6-8. So I signed up. My family will show up and do that. I get a text from one of the Serve 6-8 gals like, hey, just curious, we have a house down in Fort Lupton that needs a bunch of yard work done, and we keep missing opportunities to do that. Would you guys be willing? And immediately I was like, ooh, Fort Lupton? You know? But then I was like that, why not? You know? And let's see what comes of it.
I love what you said there, right? Because I think sometimes when we think about carrying hope or any of these different things we've been talking about, it can feel like such a big commitment. It's like, okay, there goes the next 5 years of my life. But like sometimes it's just this momentary thing. Mm-hmm. You know, Ben, you talked about like you find it once you move towards it. And so I think we have those opportunities every day. Like they're right in front of us. Like all we got to do is take the next step.
Yeah.
It's not like we're committing our lives to doing something. We're not signing up for the rest of our lives to do something. I'm talking specifically to projects here.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Yeah,
we're all.
I was
hopefully
trying to get the line between being a carrier of hope and doing things.
That's the delineation. I feel like we should always be committed to being a carrier of hope. But I'm talking about the way that manifests itself. Of like, all right, well, if I'm going to be a barista at Zoe's, I guess I'm doing that till the day I die. It's like, no, we're not saying that, but just say yes to the things that are in front of you. So I think, like, as I listen to you guys, I think you guys have shared some really great stuff. I just want to encourage anyone who's watching this right now. Number one, pay attention to where you are. All right, look around. Like, where is the kingdom breaking in? Where is hope showing up? How might God be calling you to actually step alongside and to be a part of that? And if nothing is obvious as you look around, I would just encourage you to do this. Pay attention to the things that your heart cares about, right? Sometimes that's a really, really good indicator of where God might be leading us, right? I think about you. You love food, man. Like your heart really cares about food. And so you have naturally gravitated towards things that allow you to use that in the way that, like can carry hope here in our city. I mean, like, man, I think about that dinner that you did with the Biz West people. Like, what a beautiful way to carry hope into a space and a situation through something that already captivates your heart.
Right.
I also love food, and when I saw the sign up sheet for the Fall Fest,
you signed up for the food,
and the food truck was on there, my heart actually felt happy at that moment. I was looking at all the other. There's like some logistic
set
things
up,
and,
tear down.
But I saw that food was there.
Let's
and
go.
I'm like,
Great.
Yeah. Now, obviously, I'm judging chili and pie contest because I too love food.
yeah, it makes your heart happy.
It really does, man. It really does. So those are my closing kind of invitations, encouragements for you guys. We'll be back at probably next month, and we'll continue this conversation. But just be paying attention to where God is moving around you. Pay attention to what stirs your heart, to what gets you excited, and then just take a next step. Just move towards the thing. You don't have to commit the rest of your life. Just take a step and see what happens. Because a lot of times, I think we underestimate what we could actually do. I think we underestimate how God could actually use us. And we definitely underestimate how significant and how meaningful some of these things will actually be to us. Because what you're going to find when you start carrying hope, when you start living this way, suddenly it's not this discipline you have to make yourself do anymore. It is truly a thing that, one, it helps you become more like Jesus. It grows you, it develops you, but it brings you joy. And that joy is deep. So I think that's going to do it for us. Any closing thoughts, gentlemen?
My only closing thought is the hardest part of my day is putting my shoes on. Once I put my shoes on, I'm ready to go.
Okay, it took me a little while to figure out where you were going with that.
No,
but
I know how to tie my shoes. Yeah. But like just that simple act that says, okay, I'm doing what I need to do to be able to go out, right? Otherwise, I do hit this FOMO thing or this JOMO thing, joy of missing out, where I'm more than happy to just stay in my own happy little bubble. But when you just take that first step, right?
Yeah.
And take that first action, and it doesn't have to be this grand thing like we've been talking about. It can be just as simple like you see a sign up sheet for something, and like, you know what? Yeah, I want to do that. I want to help out in that manner,
Or you see someone on the corner and you decide instead of driving by, I'm going to pull over and go talk to them. I mean, that's pretty significant too.
Yep.
So, moral of the story, put your shoes on.
Shoes on.
Put your shoes on. All right, well, that's going to do it for us. We will be back next week. Hope you have a great day.